it's me. Thought I'd do a video today because I haven't done one in ages, and tomorrow's the 18th of November 2016, which means it's a year tomorrow since I heard the words that nobody wants to hear. You have, fill in whatever, cancer, and in my case it was you have breast cancer. I'm doing straightening my hair. I know this isn't a hair video, this isn't a tutorial. I've got very long hair. I've had very long hair for a long time, and my ends aren't split, so I don't need somebody to tell me. I've put heat protectant on it, so I don't need anybody to criticize me and say, hey, you're going over the same spot twice. I know that. I don't brush my hair, I don't use heat on my hair. I don't need a lecture. Anyway, back to the purpose of this. I'm doing my hair while I do this video because I feel like it, because I wasn't going to make a video and I'm rambling. What a shocker. Anyway, tomorrow marks a year since I was told I had breast cancer, and so I thought I'd make a video of what I've been through so far this year and what I've learnt from the whole process, my journey as some people call it. Hearing you have cancer of any sort is, can you see my roots? Is life-changing. There's no two ways of putting this. It is life-changing. I know there are other diseases and it's all life-changing, but this is my life-changing, other than when my dad was killed. Not knowing, you know, I'd like to help other women, because I came into this totally green, wet behind the ears, whatever the freaking cliches are. I came into this ignorant. I didn't know what it meant. All I knew is that cancer means you die. But, you know, as I've been told several times this year, if we all live long enough, if we're all lucky enough to live long enough, everybody's going to get cancer, because cancer is in your, it's basically a corruption of a cell, which then multiplies, and we all have cells. So, not having a family history of it, it's devastating to us all, I'm not going to lie. But the first time, because I'm not stupid enough to think this is the only time I'm ever going to hear those words, but the first time you hear it, it hits you like nothing you've ever... you know, everybody knows. We're all mere mortals. Everybody knows that at the end of this journey that we call life, we all die. But some people like to not think about it, to be honest, and you kind of like to bury that one somewhere deep in the back recess of your mind. And, you know, I think I was pretty freaking lucky to have got as far as I did without having had any major health issues. I thought I was at the healthiest point in my life. I had lost 60 pounds 5 years ago. That was too much, but I reckon I'm good at having lost 50 some odd pounds, and I've kept it off for 5 years, yay me. But I thought I was actually at my fittest. I hadn't missed a workout day in years, even when I travelled to England, even when I travelled in New York, even when I went to Spain, I didn't miss a workout day. I thought I was invincible. Nobody's invincible. I never thought. I breastfed 3 children over the period of 8 years, and I had had fibrocystic breasts since I had breast tissue, and I thought I'd had lumps removed that were fibroadenomas, which I was told don't normally become cancer. So every time I had a lump, I just was complacent. And the thing is, I had one The year my dad died, I'd had one, and I was told I needed to biopsy it, and he died suddenly with all that negligence at the hospital, and they killed him, and I never went back to have it biopsied. I'm freaking lucky that this wasn't what I ended up getting, because it wasn't even in the same spot. Or the same size, because the thing that I needed biopsying was huge. But at the end of the day, I went in last October just on the off chance, because I wanted to make sure my breasts were healthy enough to eventually, in the next year or two, because we were planning to go back to England to live. I was just making sure that they were healthy for an eventual breast reduction. So I just decided last year, I hadn't been in for 4 years, so I thought I'll go in and get a mammogram. And that's where it started, and that's where I found out I had 8mm, well, eventually found out I had 8mm of DCIS, which is ductal carcinoma, carcinoma being cancer, in situ, which means within the ducts. But I also had invasive breast cancer, which is called invasive ductal carcinoma. Again, carcinoma, cancer. Some doctors like to tell women with DCIS that it's not cancer, that's stage 0, it's not really cancer. It is cancer. Some women, there are 3 grades of cancer. 3 being the cells which are least like normal healthy cells. Grade 3 DCIS, it's fast spreading, fast growing, aggressive cancer within the ducts though. And some people are told, some women are told, and men, mind you, men usually find out much later though, later stage, but they're told that, oh, it's still only DCIS, it's only DCIS, let's watch it, wait and see. You don't wait and see with cancer, okay? But anyway, I think we should have, once you're diagnosed with cancer, I think that every woman and man and child should be, especially the parents in that case, should have classes, cancer classes, because it might make you, or help you make a more informed decision. Everything that I've learned, 90% of what I've learned about cancer, not everything, that's stupid, I've learned from my own reading, research, talking to other women with cancer, and surfing the net, finding out information. I found out about the whole lymphedema. Is it lymphedema? The one where you, if you have too many lymph nodes taken out of your armpit for the lymph, to checking for the cancer in the lymphs. If you have too many out, you can't have, it's risky to have blood taken from that side and blood pressure taken from that side. I found that out through Amazon because I was looking for a bracelet, a breast cancer bracelet, and I found that out through that there's a risk, because if you get an infection of that in that arm, which can happen from a needle, or too much pressure can do a clot or something, I don't know, that you can, because if you have too many lymph nodes taken out, the lymph nodes are how the white cells, I think it is, travel to that site and repair whatever damage. They travel through the lymph nodes, and if you've had them out, they can't do that, so that you can't get, you know, the help that you need in that area, and you could end up with an infection in your arm. And I don't know the ins and outs, I'm not a doctor. But the point is, I wasn't told about that. I found that out through Amazon, looking for a bracelet, just a breast cancer bracelet. Anyway, I don't even know where I was going because I've been distracted with my hair. How's it look? Good? Cool. So yeah, what have I learnt in the last year? I've learnt that my family doesn't give a fuck about me. Sorry about the language, but seriously, I have extended family in England and in the States, and the one person who's been constant from our extended family is Aunt Sandy, who's my husband's aunt on his mother's side. She went through breast cancer around 10 years ago, and she has sent me emails regularly, constantly, asking me how I'm doing, how my surgeries are going. She had, back in when she had her cancer, they used to do chemo as standard for even for grade 1. I had grade 1, stage 1. It was not in my nodes, it was 4 millimeters and 8 millimeters, so it was very small. I chose bilateral mastectomy because at the time the word cancer to me meant death, and I wanted to be around for my kids when they grow up. 2 of them are already adults. When they have relationships, when they have children, when they have their weddings, when all that kind of stuff. I wanted to be around for my children, and I thought, what is the best way? And I was told that the best way for me, the least invasive way for me, was a lumpectomy with radiation over my heart, because it was in the left side. And I wanted breast reduction. The whole point of this was breast reduction, and I couldn't have done that with radiation because the tissue in your radiated area is unable to stretch properly once you've had radiation. So the tissue isn't as elastic, and so it's difficult to heal. It's also difficult to heal in those areas once you've had radiation. Harder to heal. I didn't know until my actual surgery in February, on February the 5th, that I had cancer just in that area. I didn't know if it was in my nodes. When I woke up from that surgery, my husband told me that it wasn't in my nodes, and that was the thing that I was most scared about, that it had gone into my nodes, because that's how it spreads. But I was told it was a lazy cancer, blah blah blah. They did pathology on both my breasts. None of the tissue in my right breast was affected at all, so I could have kept that breast, but I didn't want to risk it because I know that it can come back, and it doesn't have to be the same type of cancer. I had a double positive, single negative, so I had HER2 negative, ER and PR positive breast cancer, stage 1, grade 1, left side. Triple negative breast cancer, which is ER, PR negative, and HER2 negative. It's a freaking aggressive cancer, and there is so little research going into that. There's very little research going into, or money going into stage 4, which is the basically there's no cure for stage 4. That's when it's spread. There are many women who live with stage 4, and some for many years. But with triple negative, it seems to be a much harder cancer, breast cancer, to treat, and it's scary as hell. Anyway, my family back home in England, I've heard from none of them since March, and look, I'm playing with my hair, and isn't that what I do when I'm something? I see other women on Instagram, and I see that they have family over and stuff, and they have family coming from all over the place to see them, wherever they are, whether it's here in England, New Zealand, Scotland, anywhere, I don't know, Canada, wherever. These women that I've made friends with, we're all pink sisters. They have a family coming over. They get calls and stuff. I just feel like when we moved here, we disappeared, basically, from people. My kids have grown up, and they really have no real understanding of extended family. I mean, they barely get birthday cards now. Oliver, I don't think, has received a birthday card from anybody but my mum, his other grandma, ever. The other two have September birthdays, so generally people used to remember when they were very small, but they stopped that a long time ago. They don't get Christmas presents, they never have. But that's just stupid little bullshit. But it's like we don't exist. And this year with the breast cancer, where I was worried that that was it, was eye-opening, because we were going to move to England and it was going to be a huge pay cut for our family, and my husband was going to lose his military pension because he has another couple of years with the government in order to fulfill his yearly quota so that he gets the retirement. We were going to give that up. We were going to give up his salary here. But we were going to do that to move to England to be near family. And this family hasn't even bothered to be in touch since March. I have a small family and it sucks. I mean, I've made videos, 1 or 2 videos about this before. I think the one when my dad died. And I just can't imagine my daughter, my sons, going through something like this if I'm still around without me there by their side. To me, it's unimaginable, it's unfathomable, can't even say the fucking word, it's unfathomable that I have a parent still left who hasn't fucking tried. And it's just been a really, really, really hard year. I've had 5 surgeries for this. I'm hoping that the one I had 3 weeks ago today is the last sleeping surgery that I'm going to have. Last Friday I went to see the guy who did Holly's tattoo, that she's had a tattoo done with. It's an infinity symbol with the 4 years, mine, my husband's, and the 2 boys' years of birth on her side, on this side, just on the ribs. And this guy, we went in because my surgeon is opening an office here, and you know, if this guy had been able to do it, he could get business from changing women's lives. Not changing, but completing the process. And we went there, my husband and I went in on Friday to talk to him about the last part of this reconstruction. I don't look like a cancer patient, do I? I have hair. Yay, hair. But I don't have my breasts. And I have cones on them right now, and I'm going to have cones on the nipples for a while. And we went in there on Friday and I asked, do you do areola tattooing? And the guy looked at me like I was like sprouted a second head, and I said, and he said, what? And I said, do you do areola tattooing for women who've had breast cancer and have had bilateral mastectomy and who need to have their, or want to have, like either a 3D areola and nipple, or just the nipple and areola tattooed? They do it in 3D, even if you've had reconstructed nipple. And he's like, no. And I said, okay, do you know anybody who does? I mean, could you recommend somebody who does? And he said, oh, I've heard of this one guy up in Maryland who does them. And then he went off on a tangent and started to sprout all this stuff about breast cancer women who have this done, and how this man has trained years of his life to become a tattoo artist, and now he's labeled the nipple guy by all the tattoo people because that's all he does. And now to have done all that training to be stuck doing this and be known as the tattoo guy, and how women in support groups, like, they get together and make a day of it. And you know what, celebrate it. Don't fucking get squashed into a freaking pit. Celebrate it, because that's the end of the process. And this guy was going on about basically laughing and scoffing at the fact that this poor man has trained so hard to be a tattoo artist and you know, good at being at his art, and is now reduced to only doing nipple tattoos as the bulk of his business and all this. And I was pacing at this point because I didn't know what to do. I wanted to punch him and I wanted to cry, and I just didn't know how to handle it. So he gave us the man's number and the website, and then we left. My husband had said something. He said, you know, maybe it gives him satisfaction to be a part of these women's journeys, to be able to finish their completed look, to make them feel good about themselves through something so horrendous, to make them feel, I don't know, whole, whatever. And this guy was just like freaking, I don't know, giggling and laughing, and we left. I cried because he might say this to somebody else, and she might not be able to handle it. I'm not saying that I handled it well, but I didn't swear at him, and I didn't shout at him, and I didn't hit him. And so afterwards, when we came home, I talked to Holly about it. I don't want this man to say that to another woman again, another woman with breast cancer. And you know what? People don't go in there. Women do not go into his tattoo shop to ask about this for shits and giggles. Somebody who goes in there to ask about it is going in there to ask about it for a reason, whether it's for herself, for her mother, for her daughter, for her sister, her aunt, her friend, her whatever. You don't go and ask about it just for the hell of it. And it upset me. But anyway, what else have I learned about this year? I've learned that it can come back, and it has come back. For a dear friend of mine, she sent me a wooden burnt breast cancer ornament for my tree last year, and she said next year I'll be sending you one with another S word on it, and I can't label myself as that because I'm not jinxing myself, but a person who's gone beyond the cancer part. I'm not using that word. And she said because she'd bought herself one, and she was going to get me one for this year. She was just diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. So, you know, I feel so awful for her. I feel awful for all of us, but I feel awful for her because why? I wish there was a cure for cancer, all cancers. I don't know what to say. Anyway, what else have I learned about this? I've learned that what people need to do for people like me, cancer patients, is talk to them. We're not contagious. It means a lot. To know that we're not alone in this. And just by talking to us, you're not going to catch it. And maybe we do want to talk about it, and maybe we don't. Maybe we want to talk about stuff that's not related to cancer at all. Maybe we just want to fucking talk. Maybe we'll have bad days, we'll have good days. A few months ago, I was just burying myself in researching this. Supplements to take. I can't take, I'm not taking tamoxifen, which is, I had convinced myself would be my safety net. But the risks outweigh for me, for my cancer, outweigh the benefits, because I went bilateral mastectomy, I had a small non-aggressive cancer, the risks, and so I went to see a doctor for a second opinion, and he told me that I should be on it, because if I got cervical cancer from it, they could just chop it out, take out my cervix. He was so cavalier about it. I haven't been back to him, and I've been back to my original oncologist, so I get to see her next month. I have blood tests for my liver function and kidney function and all that. So you know what, just because I had early stage breast cancer doesn't mean to say that I'm not going to be worried about it coming back, and I'm only at year 1. I don't think that you ever stop worrying about it. I think maybe it just goes to where you're not worrying about it all the time. I mean, I don't worry about it all the time, but I'm worried about it this week because so many people that I know seem to be getting it back, and several of them are getting it back stage 4. So yeah, that's my 1 year, and what we're going to do is that I've bought some balloons that say breast cancer and have the ribbon, and I'm going to get one filled with helium, and I'm going to let it go. Like I need to let this year go. I don't know if there's any fixing the relationships that I've lost this year, because I feel like abandoned. And I don't know how to forgive. Thanks for watching. I'll make a better video. I got some Birchbox and some the Birchbox and the Ipsy stuff coming. I mean, it's here. So I'll make a video. I've just had a bad week. And I just feel like stupid and fucking sorry for myself at the moment, because of the fact that I just feel like the people that should care don't give a shit. But my kids care, my husband cares, and my friends care. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.